Neil has an extraordinary vision of sustainability in communities. And he has that vision as a theory, but he also puts it into practice. And he puts it into practice in central New York.
Well, I know Neil started as a lab technician in 1970 at O'Brien & Gear. He worked his way up through the company. By the time I arrived, he was the president of O'Brien & Gear.
Be it for Neil's vision, that organization probably wouldn't be what it is today. And the lives he's touched is probably in the hundreds of thousands.
The first time I met Neil Murphy was when he was a candidate for the presidency at ESF. The candidates have the opportunity to meet with all of the faculty. And you have to remember, Neil was an unusual candidate. He was a CEO. He gave a wonderful presentation. I think everyone in the room was a little bit more comfortable with the fact that a non-academic might be their leader. And in fact, we were dealing with a very different kind of CEO than we thought we were going to.
The great thing about Neil is that he really has the background to understand the science of what we do at ESF, but he also has a business and marketing background that's really helped the institution grow and become more visible in the community and beyond.
Neil helped bring the college into the 21st century with that thinking. So how do we stay relevant? How do we be a college and a group that's innovative? He met with different students and they said, well, if you're going to teach green, you got to be green.
We teach our students about the environment and about cutting-edge environmental technology, and Neil wanted to make sure that we had environmental technology integrated on our campus. Not just because it makes our college more energy efficient, but also because it serves as a demonstration and research tool for our students. The new building that's going to open this year under Neil's leadership is the Gateway Center. We anticipate the building will be rated LEED Platinum. Neil calls it LEED Platinum Plus because the building is way beyond any category that exists.
One student said to us, and said to Dr. Murphy, went in and met with Dr. Murphy. How many colleges can a freshman just go in and meet with the president of the college? He said, my mom and I used to make biodiesel in our garage. And he said, why doesn't ESF make biodiesel? So Dr. Murphy said, I'll buy the equipment if you make the biodiesel. And that started our biodiesel project. So that's a student idea that he made real with some funding.
The first time I met him is actually a pretty good story. I was asking him for a bunch of money. I was trying to start a soccer program. He just kind of leaned back a little bit and said, well, they give me a little bit of money around here to play with and I think I can help you out.
Neil wants us to reach out and be engaged with the community and help the community become more green, more sustainable.
Onondaga Lake is a great example. I don't know how many ESF students or graduates are working on that project.
He's brought together multiple partners, looking at creative ways to use the lands around the lake that were used previously by industry, to redevelop those lands for productive use, growing willows and looking at renewable energy.
Neil is just somebody that gets engaged, and once he's engaged, he sets the course for his team to take the right direction.
Neil has a passion for being green. And what distinguishes Neil from others in the field is that Neil really understands what it means to be green and how to get there.
Syracuse in Central New York over the course of the last 5 years has developed not just a national but an international reputation as a place where green and sustainable development is taking place, where new green industry, clean technologies are being developed. A lot of that traces its way back to Neil Murphy and the partnerships that he's built. His fingerprints are all over the Central New York economy.
He has such an ability to lead and understand quickly and grasp an issue that you can put him in almost any context and he's going to be comfortable. And he's going to arrive at some rather striking conclusions and next steps that basically everyone needs to pay attention to.
Watching anything that he does, Neil does with a quiet intelligence, I guess you could say.
I think what makes Neil Murphy so effective, clearly his intelligence, but more important than that, it's his heart. And what he brings to each and every group is clear thinking and wanting to do the best.
He's been a mentor to a lot of folks like me. He's been a role model for so many of us as we've tried to find ways to break down parochial barriers and figure out how to work with one another in Central New York.
It's just a phenomenal story in vision as to what one individual can do with collaborative leadership and a passion for what he believes in.
He makes those people that work with him and for him better.
And that's really what makes Neil, I think, very, very, very special. His ability to allow everybody that surrounds him to do the best that they can.
I work at a place whose motto is "We bleed green." And I'm working for a man named Murphy. And I said, sometimes I'm thinking, maybe I already made it to heaven. And he said to me, Michael, he said, you know, when I get him to serve us a pint of Guinness at the end of each day, we will have arrived.
The lead also means that you need to train future leaders, and that's what he's continuing to do at ESF. He wants to promote those people who are standout in the environmental field or in the community.
Neil is a very subtle, unassuming type individual. The one time that I do see him strut like a peacock, and I mean strut like a peacock, is when it comes to his family, when it comes to his kids and his grandkids.
Really hard. Kaboom!
I met Neil 45 years ago this month, and my roommate and I were throwing a party, and there were a group of young men that lived next door who we really didn't know, but since we shared a driveway, we felt we ought to invite them. So we sent an invitation to the occupants, and they all showed. And I ended up marrying Neil, and my roommate ended up marrying one of his roommates. My first meeting with him, I felt he was very kind, very sincere, and that's a lifelong thing. And he is a great dad, and he gives a lot to the community. He's just a very caring, loving person.
He was a strict father. I think people might be a little bit surprised about that. He definitely, you know, he had his hands full with the four of us, I think.
He had a lot of work, but we always, I think, knew that we came first, no matter what.
He always made us think we could do anything. So we could make mistakes and fail, but we always knew that you know, they would always be there for us. And so I think all of us have that feeling that there's nothing we can't do.
He definitely bleeds green, and one of my memories as a child is him always bringing us to the St. Patrick's Day parade. He also bribed us with a Shamrock Shake from McDonald's, and that was like,
Well, we got this.
He likes to be outdoors, anything, you know, hiking or sailing or boating. He's not someone who can sit around. He just needs to be busy. He's not hyperactive, but he needs to be busy.
Well, I think he's instilled the passion just to be outside in nature with all of us.
It's been passed from my dad to us and now on to his grandkids too.
How is he as a grandpa? Is he fun?
He's just awesome. Awesome. He's a cool dude.
And he cares about everyone that he comes in contact with. Everyone has brought meaning to him in his life.
He's just the love of my life.
He cares about everybody. He's caring and kind. Yeah, I am.
We live here, and you want the best community you can have, and you can't expect someone else to do it. And our children have all moved back here. After college, they went away, they came back, they're raising their families here. They've chosen to stay here, so he's chosen to be sure it's a community that our grandkids want to live in.
He's a person who's able to put into practice his love for his children and his grandchildren and creating a better environment for future generations.
He is one of those rare individuals that has actually made this world better for the next generation.